Hello and welcome back to Codecademy's Learn JavaScript. We're in the Functions section, Review Functions. Give yourself a pat on the back. You just navigated through functions. In this lesson, we covered some important concepts about functions. A function is a reusable block of code that groups together a sequence of statements to perform a specific task. A function declaration has the function keyword, an identifier, and then the block of code that it will run, called the function body. A parameter is a named variable inside a function's block which will be assigned the value of the argument passed in when the function is invoked, as shown here. We have function calculate area, takes two parameters, then inside our code block we take those two parameters and multiply them together. Parameters are treated like variables within a function. To call a function in your code, we use the identifier or name of the function, followed by parentheses. We also learned that ES6 introduces new ways of handling arbitrary parameters through default parameters, which allow us to assign a default value to a parameter in case no argument is passed into the function. To return a value from a function, we use a return statement. To define a function using function expressions, we did that by using the identifier and storing that in a const, and then just assigning an anonymous function that takes in the parameters and then the code block. To define a function using arrow function notation, we did the same thing except we dropped the function keyword and used our fat arrow. So it'd be const our identifier and then assign to it parameters and fat arrow. Function definition can be made concise using concise arrow notation. And so we could even make this smaller and do by doing single line block, which would be const sum numbers, and it's assigned number as the parameter, and it would return number plus number, and this is also called an implicit return. Since it doesn't have the return keyword, it is an implicit return, versus the multi-line block, which is const sum numbers is assigned parameter number, and then it does this code block. Const sum is assigned number plus number, and then it has a return of sum. So it's good to be aware of the differences between function expressions, arrow functions, and function declarations. As you program more in JavaScript, you'll see a wide variety of how these function types are used. So we went over the different ways of writing functions, defining functions. As long as you guys are understanding that, you guys are getting the function section, and I'll see you in the next section.